broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this edition of Gun Guy Radio is supplied by LA Police Gear, lapolicegear.com.
Welcome to episode 111 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Chaland, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. Well, welcome back, and a few announcements before we get going. I'm back from maternity leave, and my lovely wife gave birth to our fourth child, a son, weighing in at 8 pounds, 15 ounces, and 21 inches. Some of you may have seen some pictures on Facebook. If you don't follow the Gun Guy Radio Facebook page, please go over there and give us a like. And mom and baby are doing well. I want to give a big shout out to all of my substitute hosts that helped out while I was gone, and really appreciate all their help. And I think they put out probably two of the finest shows in the entire catalog of Gun Guy Radio. So if you haven't checked out episode 110 and 109, go check those out. And just a big thank you to them. And thanks for tuning in this week. We have a great episode with competitive shooter Max Michel coming on in a little bit. And let's see here. Well, I wanted to mention that Practically Tactical, a show that's started as a Google Hangout live show, weekly show, has joined the Firearms Radio Network. I announced that a few episodes ago, but their website is completely up now. PracTacPodcast.com. So PracTacPodcast.com. PracTacPodcast.com. So PracTacPodcast.com will give you the complete back catalog of the Tactical Podcast. At this point, they have 18 episodes out. They're also all published on their iTunes feed, and they're on Stitcher Smart Radio as well, if you listen that way. So check them out. Practically Tactical Podcast. Great podcast. Lots of awesome guests. One of my favorite episodes so far over there was the Four Guys Guns, blog. They came on. Two of them came on. Just a great show. I think that was episode 17, if I remember right. But, good stuff. Don't forget Great Bond Arms giveaway. The time is ticking away to get entered to win your very own Bond Arms backup and 45 ACP. That's right. Bond Arms backup, 45 ACP. You enter by submitting a gun and gear review for the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Reviews. You go to firearmsinsider.tv/submit, firearmsinsider.tv/submit. And, it takes 10, 15 minutes to fill out your review, fill that out, and you're entered to win the Bond Arms backup. And not only are you entering get a free gun, you're also contributing to the community, the community over there at the Firearms Insider by, writing an awesome review. And other people can also rate that product once that review's live. They can give their own input. So it's pretty cool. Lots of great reviews over at the Firearms Insider. Gun and gear reviews. Really good stuff. We're announcing that winner May the 4th. All reviews must be submitted by April 30th. So that's coming up soon here. And Brownells helps make this episode of Gun Guy Radio possible. Selection, service, satisfaction. Find it all at Brownells. Go to gunguyradio.com/satisfaction. Well, it's time to get into that main topic with a champion shooter, Max Michel. Welcome back to the Gun Guy Radio main topic, and we have special guest professional shooter and trainer and team captain of Team Sig Sauer. We have Michel on the line. Hey, Max.
How's it going, Jake? Appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you on the show. Exciting to have a special guest on. It's been a few episodes. So you're and you hail from Louisiana, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm just outside of New Orleans.
Just had Mardi Gras, right?
Yeah, but the locals, when Mardi Gras comes in, we try to go out. So I took my family to Disney World during Mardi Gras. We got out of here.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, Max is a multi-time, world national shooter champion, mostly USPSA and, ISPC, right?
Yep, IPSC, yeah, International Practical Shooting Confederation. Yep.
And you've been shooting quite a while. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, how you got into guns, and then how you got into action shooting?
Yeah, sure. I actually started shooting when I was 5 years old. My father was, around guns as a teenager, and when I came along, it was just something cool for he and I to do together. And so I was very fortunate and blessed to kind of fall into a family with guns, and that allowed their children to go out and do some competing and do some shooting. So it was a lot of fun. I got my first .22 rifle when I was 5, and to go out and just kind of plink on the range and have fun with Dad and shoot some cans, stuff like that. And it just kind of progressed, and we moved outside of New Orleans when, right around that same time. Father was found a local indoor shooting center, and we went there, and that's where we first found action shooting. Of course, I was still too young at the time, but he started competing. Every Friday night, he would shoot man-on-man steel plate matches, and on Sundays, they would do USPSA matches. So I would go and help load magazines, pick up brass and tape targets and reset steel, things like that. And when I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old, I was ready to shoot, so I started competing. I loved it. It was a passion of mine. Really quickly developed a passion for it to just go out there and compete and have fun. So it was something for my dad and I to do together, and I started competing when I was 8 or 9 years old. And like I said, we would compete twice a week. And we would train 2 or 3 days a week, and the other couple of days was cleaning guns and loading ammo and getting things ready for the next match. So it was a really, really neat way for me to kind of stay off the streets and stay out of trouble at a young age, and really give me goals and dreams and something to look forward to in life, because that was a cool thing for me as being 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, being that young guy growing up in the ranks of shooting. There was always people older than me, always people telling me, don't do that, don't do this, don't get in trouble, don't go to these places with these guys, and just really kept me on the straight road, and it really taught me what life was all about and setting goals. And it just, as I said, quickly became a passion of mine. And when I was 13, my father and I were starting to travel outside of the state of Louisiana to compete more and more, because we did it every weekend and we were getting more involved. And that's when I found the U.S. Army shooting team. And and I was like, man, that's what I want to do, Dad. I want to do that. And he's like, well, you're only 13. You can't do that just yet. So, but it kind of bridged that gap, I guess, from being the weekend shooter to the pro shooter, and serving my country at the same time. And as I said, it quickly became a passion of mine. I gave up all my sports, football, baseball, basketball, track, all those things I did in a competitive mindset in the sporting world I wanted to do in the action shooting world. And it just gave me there was no better source of adrenaline and rush than going out there and racing with speed with a handgun. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And I worked really hard for the next few years after that and got accepted into the U.S. Army shooting team. So action shooting's been my entire life since I was a young boy, since as long as I can remember. My 2 oldest sons right now are 6 and 8, and they've already got their handguns and rifles, and we've taken them out to the range and taught them the do's and don'ts of firearms and how to act around them and the safety side of it. But also they got to shoot some steel and have some fun too. So they're hooked already, but Dad still has a lot more work to do before I can bring them to the range with me every day. But yeah, for the moment, I'm just enjoying it, and I'm really happy that I was able to find action shooting so young.
Well, that's awesome. That's a great American upbringing story. I mean, that's awesome. Hats off to your dad, for taking the time to, put up with you, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Because I take my kids out to the range and I'm like, geez, what was my dad thinking, But he must have had some serious patience back then. So it's funny, yeah.
And that's very cool that, you hear about shooting mentors, but it sounds like the mentors you found at the range, they mentored you, all areas of life, not just shooting.
Yeah, for sure. Shooting was such a small part of it because being such a young person and being around people older than me and much more successful than me, it was really neat to be able to have a father and to have several other big brother-like figures and father-like figures and grandfather-like figures to make sure that, if one of them didn't catch me, the other one did, and they made sure that I was going the straight way. And it was really neat because everybody was pulling for me. They knew what my goals were. They knew what I wanted to do. And still to this day, I get comments on Facebook and emails from people that I used to shoot and compete with, 20 years ago as a young kid, and they're proud of me, and it's really neat to hear those stories because those are the guys I looked up to and wanted to be like, and now hearing that, I made them proud, it's pretty neat. So yeah, I had a lot of mentors on the range and wouldn't be who I am today without my father and my family and all those folks on the range.
Well, that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit was mindset and goal setting. I see you have some tips on your website for that and how, tell me, Max, how important is mindset and goal setting?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important because your skills, you can work and refine your skills over and over again, and it's only going to take you so far. I truly believe that, whether you're naturally talented or you work extremely hard or both, you're going to get to a certain level, and you might be one of those shooters or in any sport that can perform extremely well behind closed doors or on your own practice range. But it's that moment when you're going to be in what we call the box, when you're on the course of fire, and you have to shoot an X amount of score to win the world championship or to win your club match, whatever it is your goal might be. That's when that mindset is going to kick in, and the mental capacity and the mental game, the mental toughness of knowing how to shut that off. Yeah, there might be 40 video cameras behind you, a couple hundred people watching, but you have to be able to shut that off and focus on your task at hand. And that's what becomes extremely difficult and really can only be done through experience. But goal setting is another huge one. So for me, I wanted to be a national champion. I wanted to be a grandmaster. There was several goals that I set for myself, but it's how you obtain those goals. So you set what I call my long-term goal, and I have some short-term goals, but those sub-goals are really the most important ones because anybody can say, I want to be a world champion track star or whatever it is, but it's how do you get there, and you have to hit those small milestones that's going to get you to the next short-term goal, long-term goal that's going to continue on that right track and that right path, and that's what's extremely important. And I think many shooters, not just shooters, but many people in general want to try to get to that end result as quickly as possible, and there's really no substitute for doing the right thing and putting in the time and the hard work. Some people will get there faster than others, but it's working smarter rather than harder to make sure you're getting there as quickly as you can, but it's not going to happen overnight. The mindset, mental game, goal setting, it's absolutely key. It's what separates the top guys from the great guys is what I think.
Right. The goal setting, that's the fun part. That's where you write that down on paper and figure out, maybe a roadmap, but then you get to the hard work.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, sometimes it's stuff that you have to stick with for months or even years to work on. And so do you have any tips for, getting through the hard work that it takes to reach those big goals?
Yeah, I think probably the greatest tip I can give is sharing your goals with your loved ones. So, for me, it's my wife and my father is still my shooting mentor. We still train together almost every day. It's sharing my goals with the people that's most important with me in my life. So that way, they're on board, because, for instance, I started a whole new workout regimen this year. I'd say over the last maybe 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. And, I did some work late last night, and by no means did I want to get up at 5 o'clock this morning and go to my trainer and go to the gym. But my wife was like, "Hey, that's your goal. That's what you want to do. You have the World Championship in October. That's what you're working towards. So you're always going to find an excuse to say, I could just sit home today. What am I really going to gain if I go one more day? But it's having that other person, whether it be your training partner, your spouse, your mentor, it doesn't matter who it is, somebody that's there waiting on you that can push you and keep you on track. That would be the greatest tip I would say, is when you're feeling like that and you're kind of getting in that situation, share your goals with others and push one another, help one another. Find that training partner and find someone who's not going to let you kind of just slack off.
Well, awesome. I could talk to you all day about this topic. So let's talk a little bit about the action shooting sports, probably more specifically the one you participate in. But talk about for newbies, for new people that are thinking about getting into the sports. Let's say someone's brand new and they come up to you at the range and say, "Hey Max, this looks pretty awesome. How do I get started?"
Yeah. And I get that quite a bit, being from a local gun range that really doesn't have a whole lot of competitive shooters on that facility. And I'll say this, it's very intimidating initially. Guys will come out to the range and they see these $5,000 race guns and $500 holster systems, and all these things are very intimidating, but it's not needed. Our sport and the action shooting sport, it's a very dynamic sport, but it's broken up into several different divisions. So if you want to run a production gun, which we call it, which would be a standard .226 or a Glock or an M&P or something like that you're going to be able to take it off the shelf and go compete with it, there's a division for that. And you don't need the latest and greatest gear. Just come on out, and the shooting people are so great, they will take care of you. Somebody you'll find at the range that will tell you, "Hey, you want to shoot?" "No, I just want," and you'll say, "No, I just want to watch." And they'll be like, "Nope, you're at the range here. You're going to borrow my gun, borrow my ammo, borrow this, and you're going to go and shoot, and you're going to have a great time doing it." And the action shooting sports in general, to me, I always explain it as running an obstacle course with a handgun, and you never know what the course of fire is going to be. So it's very, very realistic. And if you're one of those folks that say, I don't really want to be a world champion, I just want to utilize this as training to protect my family and my loved ones, there's to me, no better way of getting it done than doing it through the action shooting sports, because it's always different. The courses of fire are always changing. There may be a couple of sports that you're going to shoot some of the same courses every time, but for the most part, the courses are forever changing. You're going to shoot it once and you'll never see it again. So you have to learn how to adapt and overcome, shoot multiple targets with multiple shots, running, entering and exiting positions, shooting from behind doorways, through windows, in and out of cars. There's so many cool things behind it that's just a lot of fun to do, but you get such great realistic training because there's a score behind it. So you're going to be nervous, and I don't care who you are, how tough you are, you're going to be slightly nervous because you want to do well. And I use slightly loosely because I still get nervous to this day, and there was times when my hands would literally shake before I would shoot, and I couldn't get them to stop shaking, and it's very difficult. But that's all because you just want to do well, and you want to beat the clock. You want to beat the timer. You want to go as fast as you possibly can. So it's a great sport to get the proper training as far as combative style shooting, if you will. And it's not going to be exactly tactical. There's some guys out there who say, "Hey, why are you dropping a magazine on the ground that has ammunition in it?" Things like that. It is a game. We're still playing a game here, but it's a very, very nice way of getting that extra training that you might need if you're law enforcement, military, and don't get a whole lot of time to compete. And if you're a new shooter looking to protect your family, action shooting sports is great in that regard. And it's a great family-oriented sport as well. I mean, I'm a prime example of that, coming in the game at 5 years old, helping, setting steel, and then 8 years old, kind of showing that I was safe enough to be able to compete. And now, 32 years old, and I'm still doing it, and I'm competing with my father, and I'm bringing my kids into it now. It's just a great family-oriented sport that's going to get you realistic training, and you'll be hooked. You try it once and you're hooked.
So what do you recommend people try it with? What type of gun or equipment do you? Most of these sports now have production divisions where they can probably start with a stock gun.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say, primarily start there. And the only reason why is because you probably already have that in your home somewhere. You probably have a P226 or a Glock or an M&P or an XD already next to your bed. So go ahead and dust it off and bring it out, and that's where I would say start there to see how you like it, how you want to progress through it, and maybe you'll stay there. They're some of the best shooters in the world shooting in that division, so you'll have plenty of competition if that's what you're looking for. But if you want to get more into the race side of things, you can kind of progress through the divisions and get more of the custom side of guns, where the price goes up. But it's a lot of fun. It's almost like driving a Ferrari out there, versus your Ford. So it's whatever you enjoy, but I would say start there because it's probably what you have laying around the house, and ammunition will be easy to find, 9mm and 40. Not easy to find these days, but it's easier to find than some of the competition rounds, such as a 38 Super Comp.
And going out to your first competition, that was kind of nervous for me. I had to convince a friend to go with me that first time. Have any tips for maybe getting over that nervousness first time out?
Yeah, just what you said is bringing somebody out with you, and having, again, kind of that training partner, someone to lean on and have fun with, and just be able to joke with, because it is very intimidating. But I would just say ask questions, find the local guys who go out to the matches all the time. You'll know who they are because they'll be running the timer, or they'll be organizing the competition, setting up the stages. Go and introduce yourself, ask how you can help, tell them you're a new shooter, you want to compete, but you also want to help set up targets or whatever the case is, so you can kind of be a part of their crew, and they'll accept you very, very easily, and you'll be able to see that it can kind of put you at ease and just know that everybody's here to have a good time. They're probably making fun of each other, so get in on that, have some fun on the ribbing, and getting in on some of the joking that goes on there. But yeah, I think bringing somebody out with you would be an excellent way to just kind of smooth over those nerves. And you got to get it at some point. You got to jump in with, all the way in. You can't just stick your toe in the water. Get in there, have fun, and once the first one's over, just be safe, and just enjoy the experience, because that is going to be something you can remember forever.
Well, let's say you're a new shooter and you've gone through a few competitions and you're to the point where you want to take it to the next level. Do you have any training tips for this type of person?
Yeah, most definitely. If you're trying to get more involved into the shooting sport, I would say you need to, just like we talked about earlier, by setting goals and things of that nature, first thing we need to do is figure out where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And that's what I would do. I would sit down and make a list of everything I do well, and then make another list of everything I feel I need work on. And everything I feel I need work on should be in my training program for the month or the 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is leading forward. And I typically try to plan out each day with a certain amount of rounds. So the best way to do it is you basically need to know how to train. And this is how you're going to teach yourself how to train, is by figuring out what you're good at and what you're bad at, what needs most work, and figure out, okay, I have an allowance of 500 rounds this month is what I want to shoot. So I want to break that down into 5 practices. So that's 100 rounds of practice. And okay, I want to work on these different skill sets and go from there. So you're kind of basically building a plan within your budget. Maybe it's more. Maybe you can shoot 1,000 rounds or 2,000 rounds in a month. Whatever the case is, you're going to shoot as much as you can and get the proper training. But it's not just from a live fire standpoint. It's going to be dry fire, because ammunition's expensive. It's hard to get. So utilize the same techniques in dry fire, and meaning no ammunition, just kind of clicking the hammer at home, working on your draw, your reload, your entering and exiting positions, whatever the case is that you want to work on. You need to set up a training program that's going to allow you to get successful in those weak areas. Because what happens is, when I go to a competition, for instance, every competition I shoot, still to this day, I'll make a list, and I'll go through it course of fire by course of fire. Okay, what did I do well? What did I do poorly? So on the plane ride home, I'm making basically my list of things I need to work on that next week or two, or before the next competition. And eventually those weak areas should tend to become my strengths at some point, because what's going to happen is I'm going to work on those more than anything else, and eventually that's going to go into the good column, and there'll be something else, of course, that goes into the bad column that we have to work on. But and that's how it's done. You really want to find out where your weaknesses are, focus on those areas, maximize the training that you have within your budget on those areas, and it will eventually become one of your strengths.
So how much dry fire do you do in your training, Max?
When I was younger, I didn't have children and didn't really have any real responsibilities. It was 4 hours a day, and my hands would literally bleed. And I had no life. I just enjoyed shooting. That's what I did. But now I have a life. I have things I have to do. I'm only doing 10 or 15 minutes a day. And if you can do 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, 10 or 15 minutes in the afternoon. Sometimes they go longer than that. And you don't have to do it every day. You can do it 4 or 5 days a week. And I highly recommend that, because what you're doing at that moment is you're programming your body, your muscle memory, because in dry fire, I always recommend going half speed. And a lot of people say, well, that's crazy. You want to go half speed, then if you get into a gunfight, you're just going to go half speed in everything you do. Well, I can assure you, in a stressful situation, you're not going to go half speed. But what you can do is, by going half speed, you can talk yourself through the numbers step by step. What exactly am I doing as I'm doing it? Because if you go 100% speed, you're only going to remember two things. That's the beginning and the end. So you're going to know that the buzzer went off, and you'll know that you have a poor grip on the gun, or the magazine is laying on the ground and it's not in the gun. You want to know why. But you don't know why, because you went so fast. So if you can teach yourself step by step by the numbers at half speed through dry fire, it's going to optimize your training time within those 10 or 15 minutes and really create the gun to start to feel like it's an extension of your body, and it's natural for you to do all these acts. That way, in a stressful situation or a competitive situation, you can just react and rely on that proper training, and you know that your technique is going to be completely sound. And yeah, you might not go 120% speed, but now you're not going 50% speed either. You're going to go what I call match speed, and that's 90 to 95% of my ability at all times, and it minimizes the risk of those mistakes because of the training I put in before that.
So, in the action shooting sports, speed versus accuracy, there's a kind of a fine line there. How do you get there where you want to be?
Yeah, it is a fine line, because years ago, your speed can kind of get you out of trouble. You can have a miss here or there, and it would be okay because you could just shoot faster and faster. But as I would say, probably the late 90s, early 2000s, there were some shooters in that era that were really starting to learn how to hit the targets and hit them quickly. And that's really when things started to change. And now you have to remain 90 to 95% of their available points. So if it's if I'm out there and I'm shooting a 1,500 point competition, I have to be 90 to 95% of the available points, and that's difficult. So that's asking yourself, out of every 100 shots, you're only going to get 5 to 10 of those outside of the A box or outside of the scoring zone that you want to get to. So for me, it's all about maximizing the time that I have, what I call dead time. So anytime I'm not actively engaging the target, that's what I call dead time, and that's what I need to be working on getting faster at. Because I'm not actively engaging a target, I don't have to worry about hitting anything. I just need to speed up my movements, speed up my entrance and exits, or do them properly so I'm not wasting time. Or maybe as I'm drawing the handgun, I'm stepping toward a position, or maybe I'm doing my magazine change in between positions versus in a static position. So all those little things where you can save and shave time is going to allow you to be faster and more successful. But when you're actively engaging, firing at a target, you can only go as fast as you can see. You have to see what you need to see. You have to be able to manipulate the trigger properly on that specific shot. So you really can't do anything anymore. So I always say 90 to 95% of my available points, as well as 90 to 95% of my speed at all times. And if I try to go 100% speed, I'm going to fall off. But if I go too slow, my points might become maximized, but now I'm too slow. So I'm always looking at kind of climbing that ladder together of 90 to 95% of my ability at all times.
So when you train, Max, do you keep like a log book, a notebook?
In the past, I have. Yeah, in the past, I most definitely have. I would know exactly what my first shot was here, my transition there, and over the years, that's just kind of stuck with me. It's in my head now, and I train so much. I know if for instance, if I'm shooting the Steel Challenge, which is another sport in the action shooting world that's slightly different, but I know if I miss one target, I have a pretty good idea what my time is. So maybe it's a 2.5-second run, but if I have an extra shot, I know it's going to be a 2.7 or a 2.8, depending on which plate I was missing. And I know why, because of that transition time going back to the target. So I would say years ago, yes, I would keep track of everything to very, very much detail. But now it's more so ingrained into me, and I know what my times are within a reason. I know what my times are going to be on the first shot on this target or that target or a transition time. And that's important to know for several reasons in the competitive shooting sport. Maybe you're going to activate a steel target or you're going to shoot a steel target that will activate a swinging target on the right or left, and you have to know how much time you have in between. What can you do in that 1.5 seconds of the actual target being activated? So it's important to know what your split times are, your draw time, your transition times, all those things. So I would say if you're a new shooter, it's time consuming, but it's nice to be able to track progress. And it's one of those things that I like to see progress. If I'm going to the range and it's very, very hard to see improvement. But if you can actually note it down on paper and you see, you have standardized drills that you run, which I do, I know that particular drills I'm running, where my time should be, and it's nice to be able to see that improve, And if it's declining, then you need to know why, what's going on in your life that's different, or you're not as mentally focused, or you're using new equipment, new ammunition, those kinds of things. So that's another reason why it's important to keep that log.
How about training with video? Do you ever shoot video of yourself and analyze that?
Yeah, I think that's a very powerful thing too. And dry fire is great to be done in front of a mirror just for that same reason. Because you might be doing something really funky, dipping your head or something you don't even know about, but and the mirror is not going to lie. Same thing with the video camera. So there's times, even myself as an instructor, everybody has a camera phone these days. So as an instructor, I'll be running my guys through, and if I see something and I'm repeatedly telling them the same thing over and over again, but they're keeping, they keep performing the same way, and I'm trying to let them know what's going on there, I'll show them, and they won't know that I'm recording them, and I'll just record it for a couple minutes, and then once they're loading magazines, I'll walk back over to the range bag with them and say, look, this is exactly, and I didn't know, or I didn't feel it, because you're in the mindset of shooting, you're not really paying attention to those other little things, those little minute details. So video cameras, mirrors, those things are going to allow you an opportunity to see things that you wouldn't normally see. So I definitely highly recommend that as well.
All right. Well, any other final thoughts on new shooters for the action shooting sports?
Just go to uspsa.org. That's the United States Practical Shooting Association. That's the one I most actively compete in. And you can just simply type in your zip code, and it'll pull up a number of clubs within your area. Contact each one, and there's going to be so many great people that's willing to help you. And I know it's an intimidating process, but those folks are there to help, and they want you to get involved into the shooting sports, and bring your family out. It's a great place to come out and shoot.
All right, I'll link that up in the show notes. And then, Max, you started off as a junior shooter. What tips do you have for parents of kids that, those kids are showing interest in maybe becoming a junior shooter?
Yeah, I would say as a tip for a parent is every kid's going to be different. Myself, if I bring one of my boys out at a time, they're good. But if I bring both of them out at one time, they're a little bit too immature for me to kind of, want to be out there with. One of them wants to run up the berm and the other one wants to start shooting this way. And so just making sure each individual kid is going to be slightly different, and whether it's their temperament, their maturity level, things like that. And the next thing I would say is if they're showing interest, get behind them and do it with them. And as they progress, probably the best thing my father ever did for me was, as I was progressing through the sport, I found girls, right? Big surprise. I was 13 years old, and 14 years old, you start figuring out, girls and cars and things like that. And I stopped shooting for a good 6 to 8 months, and I missed one of my goals of being a master class shooter at the age of 13 because of it, or the age of 14 because of it. I wanted to get it before I was 14 to break the current record at that time. I know that's a stupid record to most people, but to me, it was something that it was a goal. It was something I can look forward to as a kid. But my dad never once said, let's go, you get out on the range, you're falling behind your goal. All he did was he kept getting in the truck every night and driving to the range. And I would have to watch him leave the house and hear him come back home and tell me how cool it was, what they did, who they hung out with, what they shot. They stayed around and they had coffee afterwards and they talked. And I had to hear those stories and watch him leave the house every night, especially on the weekends, going out to compete. And eventually I just found my way back to it because he continued on the track that I wanted to be on, and I just watched him do that. Versus as a parent, trying not to stay on top of your kids so much. And I know that's very difficult to do myself, as I said, not just with shooting, but I've coached my kids in baseball and basketball and football and things like that already in the local parks here. And it's very hard to not want to be that overshadowing parent that says, come on, we got to go practice, we got to do this. But just find that balance of pushing your kid, but also letting him still be a kid and enjoy his life and let him hang out with his friends. And it's just part of the process. But for me, that's what it was, is as I look back at my experience and the way my father kind of groomed me through the game. And we had a lot of fun doing it, but it was because of the way he did it. He kept it fun and didn't keep it too serious.
So, did you join the Army right after high school?
I did, yeah. 6 days after high school, I was on a plane heading that way. Yeah.
So what was that like? Did you start shooting for the Army right away, or did they give you a bunch of unpleasant work first, or was it a mixture of both? Or how does an action shooter look like in the Army?
Yeah, so basically, as I mentioned before, I found those guys when I was 13 years old, and I bugged them for a few years. And by the time I was 16, I was already a grandmaster shooter. I would say one of the top 50 kind of shooters in the nation overall, not just in the junior category. Wow. Overall. And it took notice. The Army took notice of it, and I was lucky because I was living in Louisiana. The Army shooting team is based in Georgia, so I would see them at several competitions every year. And I was competing with their top guys as a young teenager, so it was neat to be able to do that. And that's how we kind of got to know each other. And when I was 16, I got a letter in the mail that said you could join the Army if you'd like, and you can be a part of the Army shooting team. So basically what I did was I joined the Army right after high school and went to basic training, advanced training. Everything was done at Fort Benning, Georgia. And then, then I literally graduated in September of 99 of basic training in AIT, and then walked right over to the Army shooting team and spent just over 10 years there. So I was very fortunate and very, very lucky to do that, because there's some folks who are in the Army and they're trying to get onto the shooting team, but it's difficult because your current command doesn't want to release you. Because you have a job to do, but as a teenager, you coming in for a specific job, it's sometimes easier to do that. So I was very blessed and fortunate to be there for so long.
So when you're doing that in the Army, when you're not shooting a match, what does your day-to-day look like?
Typically, I'm sure it's different now. I've been out for 5 years, but typically what we would do is, before the war kicked off, it was just training. And the mornings were set aside for shooting, and the afternoons were set aside for appointments or things you had to get done in the office to prepare for the next competition, or paperwork that needed to get handled, training that you needed to do for the Army, things of that nature. But once the war kicked off, our mission changed completely. We shot very little, and we spent most of our time teaching others how to shoot, which was really cool and very rewarding for me as well, to be able to show people how and why the firearms operate the way that they do, and to really give back to the soldiers that were going overseas to protect, our country and our loved ones. It was really neat to be able to do that. And what I would do is I would take things that I learned in the action shooting world, which is very, very applicable to what's going on the battlefield today, and give it to them. But I would never teach tactics, because that's not who I am. That's not what I do. Yes, I did spend 10 years in the Army, but as a competitive shooter, it's different. So I would teach them everything I know about shooting quickly while remaining acceptably accurate. So speed with acceptable accuracy was kind of always my tagline. And then they would just take that and roll it into whatever tactics that they were doing. So it was really, really neat to be able to do that. So as I progressed through my career, I would also manage the team, manage budgets, help kind of coordinate travel, be the coach of the team. I was coaching not only other Army shooters, but also the competitive shooters on our team. So it was a lot of fun. So a day in the life of an AMU shooter, it was always different. You never knew what to expect. You would go in thinking, okay, I'm going to train today, and then you would show up and there would be 3 buses with soldiers waiting on you to teach, and you just never quite knew what to expect. But it was a lot of fun, and without that, the U.S. Army shooting team gave me the opportunity and the platform to work for a great company like Sig Sauer. Without them, Sig Sauer probably wouldn't even know who I am. So it was the best thing I've ever done in my life, was joining the Army.
Well, very cool. So final thoughts on getting that young junior shooter started?
I would say final thoughts on getting the young junior shooter started would be rimfire, starting out with 22. Go out there, do some shooting with a 22 handgun, 22 rifle as well. Steel Challenge is a great sport. The Steel Challenge Shooting Association, scsa.org or .com, I believe it is, or just steelchallenge.com, they can check it out at. That's a great way to get your kids started. Absolutely. They stand in one position. They don't run around too much. There's one movement, a very, very small movement in the course of fire, and it's not intimidating. Shooting a 22 handgun or rifle, there's no recoil whatsoever for the most part, and it's just a fun atmosphere to be around in the steel. There's no intimidating factor behind it other than just hit the targets. You don't have to try to figure out a course of fire and run and jump and crawl. Stand in one spot, shoot the targets, have fun, and be safe doing it.
Well, Max, you have many titles under your belt. World Speed Shooting, USPSA, National, Steel Challenge, stuff like that. What do you have? We were talking about goals. Do you want to share any goals you have for the future here in your career?
Yeah, I think I've won everything I've wanted to win multiple times. I'm very blessed to have done that with all the sponsors and folks to have behind me. But there's still one match that I haven't won that I really want to win, and that's the International Practical Shooting Confederation World Championship. The problem is we only get to compete in it once every 3 years, so it's difficult, and every year every competition you say, yeah, I was third place this time. Third place in the world is awesome to most people, but to me it's like I'm right there, and I'm trying to get there, and it's difficult. The guys who have won before me, I've beat at other events, and so on and so forth. So I know I'm capable of getting it done. But that's the one match that So my goal for 2014 is to be the IPSC World Champion, and everything I'm doing between now and then in October is really leading up to that. So I'm going to spend some time in Europe this year to shoot more international matches to prepare for that. The cool thing about this World Championship is it's back in the U.S. for the first time in maybe 30 years. So it'll be really fun to be able to go down to a range that I'm very common with or that I know very well in Frostproof, Florida, and be able to compete, in the U.S. and hopefully it's basically our Olympics. We only get it every 3 years. You get one shot every 3 years, and if you throw that chance or that shot away, which in the past, I won't say that I've thrown those opportunities away. I've just felt that I haven't prepared as much as I should have in the past, and so that's why I'm working my tail off right now in the gym and on the range, and making sure that I'm getting things done to get to that goal.
Well, Carol from our Fat to Fit podcast will hassle me if I don't ask you. What's your workout routine currently?
Currently, I have a personal trainer who I see roughly 4 times a week, and basically I showed him what I do. He's watched many videos, and he's kind of critiqued some of my competitors, trying to find ways that I can beat them in certain spots, because everybody's build is different. So maybe somebody's quicker on their feet than I am, but we're trying to find ways to get me, moving quicker, things like that. But basically, it's kind of CrossFit with a handgun is what I do. I do one day each week is going to be just gun specific, and that'll be where I do weightlifting as well as shooting an airsoft gun, running around a gym. Luckily, I rent the whole gym, so I don't get kicked out. But it would be basically running an obstacle course with a handgun multiple times. But before you do that, immediately before I do that, I would go into 3 or 4 rounds of several weightlifting at high speeds, high reps, and getting my heart rate up, and then jumping instantly into this course of fire and running this course of fire, whether it be kneeling, prone, running, jumping, running around and through objects, speed ladders on the ground. I would say my workout routine is very much based around plyometrics, explosiveness, dynamic movements, not super heavy weights, but more high reps, high velocity, high-paced workout. So within that hour to an hour and a half, I'm getting extremely a good cardio in at the same time as weightlifting as well, but really geared specifically toward my goal of shooting. And I don't want to be this huge guy that walks around the range that can't hold the gun up. I want to be lean, fast on my feet, and strong enough to handle the recoil a little bit better than others. And that's kind of my focus behind it, just being explosive, dynamic, and being able to get on the gun as quickly as possible.
Well, very cool. Yeah, it's all about finding the right balance for your particular makeup.
Yeah.
So tell me, before we wrap things up, what do you currently shoot? What's your gun of choice, your setup of choice right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm obviously the sponsor shooter for Sig Sauer. I've been hooked up with them for about 5 years now. So all the Sig Sauer products is what I compete with primarily. At the moment, that's what I'm running from X5s to the 1911 Max, which is my particular model I designed a couple years ago, and it's been shipping now for a year and a half. Been getting very, very good comments on that. So just depending on what division I'm competing in is going to depend on what gun I'm shooting, whether it's a production division with our X5 all-round or the limited or standard division with the X5L1, which is our single-action gun, where the X5 all-round is going to be the double-action, single-action version, all the way up to some custom race guns that we actually had made for me 4 or 5 years ago that I was hoping that we would sell to the general public, but it just didn't happen. It's not in the cards right now for us as a company. We're busy selling other guns, as you can see. So right now my setup of choice is Sig Sauer. The products speak for themselves, but the people behind the product is the reason why I'm within that company. I love the people there. They're all motivated and dedicated to becoming the best company that they can be. And I think we've seen over the last 5 years since I've been there, the way the company has grown is just unbelievable. So, I'm really happy to be a part of them and be a part of that growth process and just be a small part of such a great company. It's really a cool experience.
Well, very cool. Well, Max, that about wraps it up. Do you have anything else that you'd like to let your fans know about?
Yeah, just if you want to find more information about myself or my training academy, please visit my website, www.maxmichel.com. That's MICHEL.com. And feel free to ask me questions. I get emails all the time about gun choices, setups, things like that. I'm here to help. And if I don't answer within a day or two, email me again. Don't call me a bad guy. Just email me again.
Well, very cool, Max. I'll have links to any of that in the show notes for listeners. And really appreciate you coming on Gun Guy Radio. And we'll talk soon.
Cool. Thanks for having me. I look forward to coming back sometime.
All right, a big thank you again to Max for coming on the program, and keep an eye out for him on the Firearms Radio Network. He's going to be popping up here even more. I know he just did a show with the Shooter's Mindset, so you can check out that Google Hangout and that soon-to-be-released podcast as well. So that brings us to the LA Police Gear spotlight for this week's episode. LA Police Gear helps make this episode of Gun Guy Radio possible. And, what I like about LAPG is their LAPG operator gloves starting at just $9.99. That's right. These are kind of the mechanic style work gloves, you could say, maybe. They come at three price points. One's $9.99, one's $19.99, and one's $24.99. So they're all very affordable. And I've got my eye on these $9.99 gloves. They come anywhere from size small to 2XL, 2X extra large. Now it's hard to find. I have pretty big hands. I usually try to buy gloves and then XL size. So these gloves really give bigger guys the option of having some good shooting gloves, or just if you want some good work gloves, they're nice and affordable, 100% machine washable. That is huge because I used to use the mechanics work gloves, and it seemed like they would fall apart when you wash them. But that was years ago. Mechanics gloves are probably far different nowadays. These LAPG gloves, they have a moisture wicking backing to them, so they wick away moisture. They're breathable. They have good grips on the palms. I'm trying to think of what they call them. They're let's see here. They call them high dexterity. But check those out. The LA Police Gear operator gloves, and they come in. Let's see here. They come in tan, black. If your favorite colors are tan and black, they have you covered. So check them out. LA Police Gear operator gloves. Please go to gunguyradio.com/LA Police Gear or click through the link on the website at gunguyradio.com and let them know that they sent you. And currently, right now, if you order this second, they have free shipping on all orders over $89. I'm not sure how longer that lasts, but it's been going on a while. Don't forget to check out their closeout and clearance items. I was looking through there, and I could easily spend $100 just on really awesome closeout and clearance items that they have. Really awesome stuff in there for knockout prices. Check them out. gunguyradio.com/LA Police Gear. Well, we're to the listener feedback portion. I have just one feedback I wanted to read. Allie wrote in. She says, "Hi guys, great show. I left a review on iTunes, Grindel 2. Thank you for that. I just discovered your podcast. As a person who is left of center, on everything but the Second Amendment. I appreciate the politic-free environment. I just started shooting USPSA and Steel Challenge, so some shows centered around these shooting sports would be cool. Congrats on the new baby, and thanks again for the show. I know it must be a lot of work, but there are folks out here in podcast land that appreciate it. I'll spread the word. Allie, wow. Really appreciate it, Allie. Good episode to read your feedback, I guess, interviewing Max Michel here. But, check out Gun Girl Radio. They do some great competition talk over there every episode. And then, we just added the Power Factor show to the Firearms Radio Network, and they, everything action shooting sports. They, last episode, they covered the new USPSA rule book, and I think a few episodes farther back they covered the new IDPA rule book. Maybe they covered that in a couple episodes, but they definitely cover the action shooting sports. We may have some more programming coming to the network here, so keep your eye out. That might be some more programming centered around the action shooting sports. So, but yeah, appreciate the feedback. Welcome back to the Gun Guy Radio Product Spotlight, and we have Brownell's correspondent Paul Levy, the category manager. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Jake. How's it going?
It's going great. So, recently, a little while ago, Brownell's launched a whole emergency and survival gear tab on the website.
Correct. That's why I wanted to bring this product on today, because I think it's our first ESG. ESG is internally what we call emergency survival gear, a product to the podcast, just because we dove into this category in so much depth and detail. I felt we should highlight some of the products. I'll probably continue to do that. We now carry over 1,000 items.
Wow.
We just started carrying it, and we wanted to make sure we did it right. We've got everything from high-end items like this to entry-level items that's for someone that's dabbling in survival. They just want to have some material in their vehicle for emergencies. We wanted to have something for everybody, and we wanted to have the right type of products. And this is one of those. This is one of the nicer filtration systems we carry for water, of course, not filtering anything else, unless you're into moonshine.
Wait. You have a moonshine line?
No, not yet, anyways. I don't think that one's been okayed. Here we have the Sawyer all-in-one filtration system. This is the filter here, but there's a lot more components here to go with it. The cool thing about this is you can drink right out of it. You can attach whatever. I'll get to the attachments here in a second. But it's just like a water bottle. You can drink right out of it. It can handle that flow of water as you're drinking. It filters that water as you go. So it's a great item to keep in your bug-out bag, in your vehicle. If you're going camping, just throw this in there with the attachments, and you're good. It's very adaptable. So I'll get into those adapters here. Again, this is the main filter. You don't have to buy extra internal filters to replace out. All you have to do after you use it so many times and you see that it needs to be cleaned out, you just backwash it. Just shoot water the other direction at a high pressure. How do you do that?
I'm good at backwashing.
Yeah, I'm sure. It comes with a syringe. So basically it comes with this syringe that you fill up with clean tap water or purified water and just inject that the opposite direction through the filter. That'll clean out any debris or sediment that had collected in there. And then after you do that 3 times, you're good to go. You can start using the filter again. So it comes with the cleaning device. So you buy this once and you're good. You don't have to keep buying filters. They don't have you locked in to a proprietary filter system. It
says the cartridge life of that is 1 million gallons.
Yeah, so that's you got to be a thirsty guy to go through that.
Yeah, it says it can yield. We'll get into that later, but the gravity system that you can build out of this can yield up to 540 gallons of clean water per day.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Again, a great device to keep around, especially if you're concerned about blackouts or right now. This is being taped in February right now. If you're down in Atlanta, might be something to keep on hand. Some of the other attachments it comes with. this attachment here with the tube, this will attach right onto a faucet, exterior faucet on a house. So you can attach that on and filter that water if you desire. And it comes with 2 different size bags. They're just simple bags like this with a attachment on top. You fill these with whatever water source you have, and then this will simply attach to it. And then you got a water bag with unfiltered water. You can just go ahead and drink it, and it filters as you go. So you can roll this up, keep it in your bag without water if you want, and then just filter whatever water you come across. So it has 2 different sizes. There's a larger one here. I don't know the size offhand, sorry. And then this smaller one here. So you can keep 2 different sizes if you desire, if this size works better in whatever bag you have.
Yeah, it says they're 32-ounce pouches.
Okay. And then it also comes with this guy here, which you might be wondering, okay, why does it have a drill bit? This is for drilling into the side of a 5-gallon bucket or whatever bucket you might have access to. This, you can do it by hand, just drill through a plastic bucket. Of course, a drill might be handy. Once you do that...
No, Paul, we're in the survival situation here.
Yeah, of course. Once you do that, it comes with an attachment you plug into the bucket. Attach this hose here, which it also comes with, again, all-in-one kit, hence the name, all-in-one. Attach this to the filter.
So this is a gravity feed system.
Yeah, gravity feed. So your bucket, this attaches at one end, and then you just simply pour out of the bucket, and it filters as you go, as you pour out. When you're done, just lift it up, and this end will latch onto your bucket. It comes with a hanger as well, so you can hang this up just so you're not dumping water, or so you don't constantly have water in the filter. So you can readily convert any bucket or plastic container into a filtration system. Just make sure you weren't storing anything goofy in that bucket beforehand, oil or something.
Yeah, make sure it doesn't have those big corrosive warning tags on it first. But that is pretty useful. You can essentially turn. It doesn't have to be a 5-gallon bucket. It could be any container that's plastic, or
it could be anything you come across, anything you have handy at home. Heck, you could do it for a milk jug if you want. Just bore a hole in the side of that, and you're good to go. And we sell other types of filtration systems. We sell straw type. And a variety of others, but bottle type that just have the filter on the bottle. But this one's fairly versatile. It can meet a lot of needs.
Right. Well, it shows on their Sawyer's website. It shows that you can snap that onto some water bottles as well.
Oh yeah, yep. So. It comes with all those attachments. It comes with a little baggie here.
Okay. So that one end that connects to whatever device you can has multiple attachments for it.
Yep.
Okay.
It comes with the adapters. It comes with an adapter for that attachment to your bucket if you're attaching to that, or you can just again thread this onto a bottle of water, and you're good to go. So it'd actually be that end. Then you're good to go. Yep. So pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely, and it removes 99.99999% of all bacteria and everything else. So you're good to go. It's probably cleaner water than you're drinking right now.
Probably, yeah. And again, with water filters, we've also got everything else you might need: tents, food, of course. Food and water being the first priority. We have a variety of dehydrated or long-term storage food and accessories to go with that too. Heating devices, storage devices. So we pretty much got you covered now for everything you might need.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that you even carry some jerky.
Yes, we do have some jerky.
Some beef jerky and beef jerky, like survival bins.
Yeah, that's the classic storage. That's the classic method to store meat long term. It's salted, it's dried out, and you're good to go. That's hundreds of years old. So we're not doing anything new here at Brownells.
No, yeah, you just need to package that water filter in there, and you could live forever.
Yep, there you go. We all don't forget your tactical bacon from CMMG.
That's right.
We got that too.
Yes,
yeah. It's actually very good.
It is very good. Highly recommended. Well, very cool. So the Sawyer .1 all-in-one filter, we'll have links in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, the bottom of this video or embedded in the video as well. Check it out, Sawyer Point One. Seems like it really is the all-in-one filter. So
yeah, I'm pretty impressed by it. I'll probably pick one up myself.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Paul, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see you then.
Let's see here. We're to the Brownells giveaway. So this month, for the month of March, we're giving away the Nebraska Star Beef Outdoorsman Jerky. So this beef jerky from this company called Nebraska Star Beef. These are like your end of the world jerky reserve cans. They come in like an ammo can style tote. Pretty cool. And we're giving away some of these variety packs. We're giving away 4 of these variety packs for the month of March. So they come in like this ammo can, which is pretty cool. But you get a variety pack, multi-flavor, and let's see here. The variety pack has, I think it's teriyaki, original, red pepper, black pepper. I think those are the ones in the variety pack here. They say they're for any condition, any emergency situations, they have you covered. Blackout, car accident, civil unrest, house fire, pandemic, stranded, house fire. I guess I'm gonna break out the beef jerky for a house fire. That's pretty funny. So check that out. Nebraska Star Beef. We're giving those away for the month of March. So to get entered, you simply subscribe to our email newsletter in the right-hand column of GunGuyRadio.com. There's a little form there. You can subscribe or go to GunGuyRadio.com/winner. Only have to enter once, and you're entered for life. Brady Brown won a multitasker tool last month, a Series 3 multitasker tool. We gave away 2 of those last month. His is on the way, but Brady Brown, I need to hear from you. So if you're listening, I sent you an email, but when you subscribe to the email newsletter, please make sure you use an email that you actually check, because that's how I contact you.
Settle down, people. We at Duluth Trading need to come up with a name for our jeans that have extra room in the crotch to accommodate a man's business when he crouches. No bad ideas. Gibbons?
Package protector.
Too many P's.
Nard yard.
Too rhymey.
Loin layer.
Too haremy.
Coin purse. Purse.
Too redundant.
Love apple basket.
Too fruity.
Tater tots lodge.
That doesn't make any sense.
Dangler den.
I actually like that.
How about
I can't believe you just said that.
Sorry.
Gooseberry surprise!
I don't even know what that means.
I know. Prune room.
Don't be ridiculous. Wait a minute. Something room.
What about ballroom?
Ballroom jeans. Mitchell, finally some good has come from you always thinking with your trousers.
Ballroom jeans from Duluth Trading. The hidden crotch gusset gives you more room so you can crouch without the ouch. Get yours at one place, DuluthTrading.com. And in case you didn't get it the first time,
DuluthTrading.com.
Well, that about wraps up this show. So I'd like to thank Ryan Cross, Hunter Design. He designs all the awesome artwork for the Firearms Radio Network. So if you need a graphic designer, check out hunterdesign.com. And so feedback, please share your thoughts on this episode and other episodes by leaving your comments at the bottom of this YouTube video or on this week's episode show notes. This week's show notes are at gunguyradio.com/111. And, leave a comment there at the bottom. And feel free to share it on Facebook as well. The commenting system allows you to do that. And remember to subscribe to us on iTunes so that you never miss a show. And please also leave us a review over there, just like Allie did. GunGuyRadio.com/iTunes. And join the NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation. They're the ones really out there fighting the good fight for our Second Amendment rights. And don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. That's right. You can now support the show a little bit by shopping at the stores you already shop at. You already shop at Brown Owls, I'm sure, and you already shop at Amazon.com. So by clicking through our affiliate links before you purchase, you give a little bit back to the Firearms Radio Network. So please go to gunguyradio.com/satisfaction for Brown Owls and firearmsradio.tv/Amazon for Amazon, or click any of the Amazon banners or Brown Owls banners. That will lead to the same result. I really appreciate. Big shout out to you guys that have already shopped using our affiliate links. That helps pay for the massive server, the web server, the media server. So many servers I can't even count. Really appreciate that. We just had a big move to a new web host and everything, and so thank you so much for helping make these shows possible and taking a little bit of the burden off of my financials. Really appreciate it. And, please check out the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network. You can subscribe to them all in one shot. One click, subscribe to all the shows by going to firearmsradio.tv/iTunes for the master feed. All the shows, one place, one subscription feed. It's pretty awesome. So check out the other podcasts, including Handgun Radio. Ryan Michel over there. He just did an episode with Steve Remy, the marketing director here at the Firearms Radio Network. He's also a law enforcement agent, and they talked about different bullet types, different self-defense bullet types, and it was a good episode, so check it out, handgunradio.com. Well, that wraps up this show. I really appreciate you watching, listening, sharing with your friends. Thank you so much, and don't forget to use those affiliate links. If you right-click on those affiliate links, you can bookmark them, or copy that link and bookmark it so you have it for whenever you go shopping. We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.